What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Falcon and Winter Soldier Insider Edition. We are going to talk a little bit more about last week's episode, aka Truth. We're going to try to dive in more on the realisms of what Sam and Elijah were talking about. Also, Sarah and Sam were talking about, which are two of the same types of conversations, along with trying to figure out who Contessa Valentina Allegra De Fontaine, aka Madam Hydra, is doing in the MCU right now. I have to say the whole thing.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Lady,
but I'm not going to say the
Lady
whole thing
Hydra.
after this. She is Madam Hydra or Val to most of us. But let's get started on the topic at hand with the Sam and Elijah chat that happened. A lot of the bullet points on those is especially the one major thing when he said no self-respecting black man would want to be Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would love to hear your thoughts about that conversation between the two. I'm going to start it off with you, Roundhouse. Give us some small tidbits on what you think about that conversation.
I mean, just hearing him say, no self-respecting black man would want to be Captain America holds so much weight. It almost brings a tear to my eye. It almost does. Strong Xander. Because when you think about it, like because he said something else counter to that, which what he said. He said they experimented on me. Is like Sam said something else. I forgot said something else, and he said pledge allegiance to that. He's like they've been doing something like they've been doing that to us for 500 years.
He's like they erased him.
They erased me. Is like what are they gonna do to you? He said pledge allegiance to that, my brother. He said it's like they've been doing that to us for 500 years. Pledge allegiance to that, my brother. And then when you think about it, I'm like, whew, that's a lot of weight. That is a lot of weight to carry. And I think about it, like when we think as black people in America, not everything has been easy for anybody.
No.
And even when, I'm pretty sure Chad can speak on this for himself, but, when you think about the Vietnam War, you think about that and, even Vietnam, some of them saying, go home, black man, this is not your war. That's some shit. That's some shit to handle. And then, you have these veterans that serve this country, right? And then when they get home, some of these veterans are not treated like they've done their
They're
job.
not treated like the heroes that they are.
Yeah, and it's disrespectful, and it's like you can go defend this country, but you still get treated like shit when you get back because you're a black person. I mean,
You know what the funny thing is too? Just to segue off of yours for a sec. It's funny because Elijah went to break out POWs. Same exact thing that Steve did in First Avenger.
Yep, he did. Because he wasn't even think about Cap. He wasn't really technically a soldier, I want to say.
No, he was willing to take the punishment when he disobeyed orders. But they didn't do that to him. But what they do to Elijah, they threw him in jail.
They use him as propaganda to promote the war,
Yeah.
right, and to rally America, but Cap was still being used, and then they kind of just sidelined his ass. He went off and saved, not only his best friend was captured, you know what I mean?
And he saved the Howling Commandos.
Yeah, they're like a whole bunch of them. Including Dum Dum Dugan. I still can never get over that fucking name, Dum Dum Dugan. But it's crazy because Cap did it, but when he did it, they locked him up in jail and they experimented on him for years. For what, 30 years?
30.
30 years.
Then a nurse declared
he's
him.
still big though. I'm giving him that. He's still big.
Then a nurse declared him dead.
Yeah, he's still big though. That's one thing. I was like, look at old Cap. I'm like, Cap, how many of your muscles? Elijah's still big as hell. He's like, but to get back
I
to
remember though, Steve Rogers is twice the age of
yeah, you're right. Yeah,
of him, of twice the age of Elijah.
Yeah, true.
Old Cap is like 117.
Yeah, but I mean, what Elijah said holds a lot of weight, and it's something that I think as Black men we I won't say we take for granted, but it's something that we have in the back of our minds, and somehow it doesn't come to light sometimes, only when something something of some racism happens, and we internalize it a lot. And some Black men, I won't say all of us, but some Black men, I can say all of them. Most Black men and Black women are traumatically drained in a way, and it gets a little too much. And somebody that's being experimented on for 30 years and knows why, and the racism behind that, and Sam not really wanting to understand, and Elijah telling him, you know why. You don't want to think about it. You know why. He said, you're blind. And I think sometimes we like to think that, oh, everything's fine. No, it's not fine. So that's and Elijah's saying you're blind. It really shook me, because I'm not saying I'm blind, but it really, like, to have that in a show like that.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I saw something really deep like that was probably Lovecraft Country, which was really in the midst of.
Well, yeah, that was at the time where it was heavy.
Yeah, and that was in the midst of it. They did Emmett Till in the show. They didn't show the face, but they showed the aftermath. Like that right there was just. They did what? Emmett Till. They did Tulsa. They did a lot, and it's like. Anyway, I'm done with what you asked.
Okay. Chad, give us your stand on the Sam and Elijah conversation.
For me, that was a conversation of the past clashing with the present and the potential future. When Elijah was like, I used to be you, he's still coming from a different time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Where he was coming from, especially when he's talking about no self-respecting Black man, and it came from an area of a lot of hurt, because he did it. You're right. He did exactly what Steve did. And yet he got into trouble for it. In the comic books, what he really got arrested for was stealing the shield and the costume.
Yeah.
But that's neither here or there. And they experimented on him. And while he was there, he said it. He lost his wife, who he loved. He was still mourning after his wife.
Yeah.
That was very evident in the conversation. And so a lot of the things he was feeling was a lot of anger and a lot of bitterness. And he has every right. Versus Sam. Sam as he said when they were talking about the lynching, I had read stories about a lot of World War II black men coming back from World War II getting lynched in their uniforms, and they were described as Christmas trees, hang like Christmas tree ornaments, because they had on their uniforms with all the medals and everything, and they were hanging off of a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why you'll never hear me say picnic. That's where the word picnic comes from.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Fuck
Yes.
me.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So word picnic comes from that.
Yes. So what happens? So what would happen is the community would pick a random black person, usually a male, but not necessarily a male, and it would hang them from a tree, and it would be like a gathering of people,
Yep.
like a festival. So they randomly pick a nigga.
Yeah, pick a nigga.
Pick a nigga. Yeah, pick a nigga. I got you. Yeah.
Picnic. That's where the word came from. So what you saw there was a lot of anger and a lot of bitterness. But as Sam was trying to iterate, was like, I know what you've been, I understand what you've been through. But, you know, one, that wasn't my experience. And Steve was innocent of that. That wasn't his fault.
Right.
So why get mad at Steve? That wasn't him.
Yeah, he was like, Steve didn't put you in jail.
No, they threatened to court martial him, but they didn't do shit.
Right. Steve didn't put him in jail because Steve was under the ice. Yep. But, you know, as a matter of fact, Steve didn't even know nothing about him. But of course,
Steve didn't even know that there was another program going on.
No.
Exactly. But that's a lot of anger and a lot of bitterness, which the fact of the matter is, he has every right to feel that way. And he has every right to feel that way. You know, and as he said, you know, and they've been doing that for 500 years. To be honest with you, they've been doing that much longer than that. When you really look at it, like my wife was just talking to her brother earlier today, talking about the Native American tribes and how many of them were black, which is why when you read some of the stories, when a lot of white people, when they were transversing this country, and if they had a slave, they usually had the slave step out in front just in case the Native Americans came out. Why is that? Because we were the same people.
Right.
Of course, you know, and that knowledge, she gained that knowledge by doing some research because of something that I had said about my ancestry. And it clicked. I mean, that's why so many black people say they got Indian in your family. That's mainly because you probably are part Native American.
Because a lot of escaped slaves were integrating with Native Americans, because Native Americans would give them safe passage to. Well,
yeah, I have Sioux in my blood, so
yeah, but it's not just that. We are the Native Americans.
Mm-hmm. We are the indigenous people.
Not all the enslaved came from Africa.
Yep. Nope.
You know, so these are the things when it comes to history and people want to erase, and this is the clash.
Right.
But the thing is, and this is what I think Sam was trying to equate, and this is where Elijah was in his mind mentally. Things have gotten better. The country is different, for better or for worse. It is different. All of us could go down in the South and go to a place that's all white and eat a burger. We can do that.
Yeah, we can do that now.
You understand what I'm saying? I went to the University of South Florida, which was a very segregated university when it first came up. 66. And like if you looked at the wall of all the past student body like all the student body people, they were all white and they were all male. and you can slowly see how they started to change color. My university was one of the few universities in Florida that actually had an Africana Studies major. So things are different. They're not the greatest. They're not the best, but we've been through worse. And where Bradley was worse, but he stuck there because of his anger and his bitterness, which, to be honest with you, he has every right to feel.
Correct.
Every right. But what Sam is alluding to is things are better. I mean, the things that he's gotten the opportunity to do, even though it's still not all peaches and herb.
Peaches and herb.
Not, Ashford and Simpson. It's just it is the struggle that us as Black people we are destined to face, and that's biblical. And it's biblical. We won't get into that, but it's biblical. Right. And that's that's the thing, and that's why I think Sam is a great embodiment. So when Isaiah was saying that that America would not allow a Black man to be Captain America, that was an indictment of America. But the thing of it is, I'm gonna tell you, every person who told me that I couldn't do something, and I actually ended up doing it, was usually Black. So there's that statement, Chris Rock said it in one of his comedies. He's like, for white people, the sky's the limit. For Black people, the limit is the sky.
Yep.
And sometimes we do that to ourselves. We internalize, as you said, we internalize the racism, and we allow that racism to keep us down. There's that structural racism that keeps us down. Mm-hmm. And then there is the internal structure that we give ourselves that then keeps us down, which is what perpetuates racism.
Right there.
And until that system comes down, the fact is we're free. We are physically free. We will always have obstacles in our way, but we are free. Where we have yet to gain our freedom is here. Mm-hmm. And that's where Mr. Bradley is. He's still here because he's a slave
of his own mind.
And you know what? And he has every right to be, because his as he has been erased, his wife that he loved is gone. And not only that, didn't even know that he was alive.
He was labeled dead. He was labeled dead to her.
So for all intents and purposes, who he should have been, was dead.
Yep.
And all that was left is the anger and the bitterness. And I can completely understand that. Yeah. And he may never get past that. And the fear, and then in the conversation, the fear that he had about what would happen if his story goes out, that his life would be in danger, his grandson's life would be in danger, the fear of the story going out, because Sam was like, we got to tell people this story. And he's like, no, I'm dead. Leave me dead, because you don't think they would kill me within a day? And Sam was like, well, why? In his mind, he's like, well, why would they? Why?
He's America's dirty little secret.
But all secrets, but everything that's done in the darkness must come out to light. You can't kill everything.
Yes, that's right. Just like what happened in Captain America: Winter Soldier, when they let out all of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s secrets and stuff like that, including Hydra, including all the other shit that was hidden that was a legit S.H.I.E.L.D., all those secrets put out. Even Black Widow's assassin past, all put out. You're right. everything is going to be put to light. No secret is ever kept secret.
I think when you said that, when you said Elijah's bitterness and how we kind of, as sometimes as Black people, we kind of like hold that thing. I think there's a small, and I think it's with a lot of older people, like from the I can't put it like a year on it, but it's like Elijah, it's like, oh, he has this bitterness to them, this and that, and he's in the right, but so does everybody else from his time. You know what I mean? I granted he's so many years old, but you know what I mean. Like as a Black man and Black people from that time, they have this bitterness to them. In a way, it's almost they want to protect. In a way, and I see it. It's a way for them to protect their not lineage, their people, right? By saying this, and it's like it's almost like a watch out, like don't be a fool type shit. So I get what Isaiah was coming from, because I've had conversations with older people like that, and they do have this older Black people. They do have this fear behind them and this bitterness, and it's like, well, be careful what you do. Be careful of this. It's always this addedness to it, because it's that fear, and it's in a way it's them wanting us to be knowledgeable about what we're doing, but also be protected. And in that case, they're kind of worried about how we're going to go about it, and what is going to come for us. It's their way of, in a way, protecting us, and that's how I see it.
But sometimes when you protect, you hold. But sometimes when you're protecting, you can actually be holding back and
Yeah,
preventing people from moving forward. I'm not saying they're wrong in their feelings, because
yeah,
they're not. Because I get it, but you cause people to stifle and you hurt their growth.
yeah, exactly. Like, but that's the thing too. Is like always we have to really be mindful about how we go about things. Like, because in this day and age, as we're getting older, we have to be. I mean, I think we're a little bit better than what. Not better, but I think we're a little bit better than mindset wise about what how we go about things.
We're more open-minded.
There's no we have the sky's the limit. We don't have no limits to sky anymore. I think our generation is like sky's the limit completely.
Our generation wants to push to be better.
We're not hindering our people and not holding our people back. I think as this generation, I think we've learned from our previous generations, and still have that a little bit innate fear in us, a little bit. But we also have really high hopes and promises, and moving, and we can move forward. It's almost like a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Okay, so now the conversation with Sarah and Sam. Right after she basically tells him that we're not going to sell the boat,
Mm-hmm.
and he basically says that he's proud of her and stuff, because we can't let go of our history, we can't forget it, we can't bury it, we need to confront it and all this stuff. And she says that you've been fighting this war outside of our home, and here at home, and uh you've always seemed to find a balance with the two. And he says that he's willing to fight for what he believes in, no matter what the consequences may be, because he knows he's not going to win every battle, but he's still willing to fight for what he believes in. you know. And I think Sam believes in the ideology of Captain America and believes in the man who held that title previously. Because Steve Rogers wasn't, as the doctor said in the first movie, he was like, you don't have to be a good soldier. You just need to be a good man. And the last words that Steve said to Sam before he went off to take the stones back is that he told Sam that he was a good man. So it's kind of almost like it's a full circle that you knew Sam was the perfect person to continue that legacy. Because, despite color or anything like that, what's here is what matters. This is what tells you what's right or wrong, despite what other people may think or may, because tons of people thought Steve was crazy, not, going against the government and Tony and everything and fighting against Tony to save his best friend. It's craziness, but
believing in his best friend, believing that his best friend is still who he was in the 19. Well,
he was willing to die on the helicarrier just because he believed in Bucky still being in there.
And Sam along for the ride. It's actually Sam and Black Widow along for the ride because Sam believing in Cap and what he believes in and what Black Widow believes in as well. I think she was just trying to figure out what's going on with Fury, because Fury to her is almost like a father. So,
and I think we're gonna find out more about that in Black Widow, since it takes place in between Infinity War and Civil War.
Yeah.
But what? Really quick, we're at the 30-minute mark. What do you guys think of that conversation with Sarah and Sam, and how she kind of basically did the 180 version of the Elijah conversation? Because she even said, are you going to let that old man get in your head? Are you going to let Elijah really get into your head like that?
It's funny, because I've been overseas, and the only time I ever worried about being Black was being here in the United States.
Wow.
When I'm overseas,
can you repeat that, please?
I'll repeat it. I've been overseas, and the only time I ever worry about being Black is when I'm here in the United States. When I'm overseas, they don't care whether I'm Black. I'm an American.
Just that statement alone is deep enough.
To anybody outside this country, you're just an American.
I'm an American.
Color don't even matter.
It doesn't. It really truly doesn't. Now that doesn't mean that sometimes they don't recognize the negative connotation with being Black. Like in Asian cultures, for instance, there's a negative connotation with Black, or there's a little bit of a fear of Black men, and that's due to American conversation. But with that being said, but for the most part,
even the Harajuku culture,
right?
I mean, they have problems with anybody in different parts of Asia that's not, like southern parts of Asia, So
yeah,
I guess
they also have issues with bigger people.
I guess the dark skinned Asians they have a problem with, you know what I mean? Like,
it is what it is, but still, even still, I'm an American. And the only time I ever really worry about being Black is when I'm here in the United States. So with that being said, that conversation was extremely key. And listen to what Sam said after that. He was like, he heard the story, but you got to continue to fight, because what was all that sacrifice for? And I think sometimes, like, when you look at the shield, and if he were to drop the shield, for me, it's a representation of how sometimes future generations drop the ball to what past generations have done. It is messy, it is bloody, but it is real.
Yeah.
And nothing is ever clean. Like, even as a Christian, when you look at the Bible and you read biblical history, it is rough. It is dirty. And
Old Testament is screwed up, man.
not just the old, but also the new. It is dirty. A lot of blood, but the blood had to be shed so you can have a better life.
Right.
Jesus' blood was shed for our freedom and in the spiritual realm. And it's the exact same thing here. A lot of past generations have fought and lost so much, like more than many of us even realize. I can't tell you enough. One of the best things that I learned when I was stationed out there in Alabama, and I was in Montgomery, and I went to Montgomery, and I went to Birmingham, and learned just like, when we go back, we don't really think about it. When they were out there protesting, why were there so many young people? That was because so many of the old people were working. And the city government in Birmingham, for instance, had said, we don't want any of the Black city workers out there, because the moment we find you, you're fired. Threatening their jobs. So how many Black people lost their jobs, lost their livelihood being out there protesting? So it had to be on the young people, because they ain't had nothing to lose, and these are the things that sometimes we don't see. We don't see the big picture. And
we take it for granted.
We take it for granted. Dr. King died, and we always asked, like, when he died, did the dream die with him? Did anybody really pick up the torch and continue the work, or did we just allow him to die? As my bishop has said once before, Moses is dead. But somebody came up behind. So
I think that was just, I think when Dr. King died, it put Black people in a perpetual state of fear even more.
And we're still there. But the thing is,
because they killed Kennedy before that.
Right. I mean, but you got to pick up the fight. I mean, you have to pick up the shield. And
can't let fear consume you.
Oh, I agree. But I think I hear what you're saying, Chad. I hear what you're saying. I think the problem is this: when Kennedy was killed, he was supposedly, from what I've heard, he was our president. He was our president. And then, so when they killed him, a lot of Black people felt like we had a chance with Kennedy, and they killed him for it.
But did we, though? When we really go back and look into the history of Kennedy really didn't start talking about civil rights until early 1963. And then when you really look at it, President Johnson had passed the most amount of civil rights legislation ever, even more than Lincoln. But we ended up getting Nixon. I'm just, me, I'm a history guy. Yeah. So we got Nixon, and we went forward, and then you had Reagan with his war on drugs that devastated the Black community. And then you had Clinton, whether he realized it or not.
Got Bush.
With you, Bush actually, I have to give it to
which one, senior or W?
He did a lot.
First Bush.
Senior? Okay.
Yeah, senior.
Senior was a foreign policy guy, so he just kind of rode the train. Versus Junior, on the other hand, he actually did a lot. Junior did the best he could. He did. In all seriousness, I have to, and I'm not even, but me as a historian, I'm like, I have to give W.
Look at the facts, basically.
His just due.
Right.
But with that being said, we got to pick up the shield. The work continues. And that's where I think Sam and what he was telling his sister was like, yeah, his history is bloody and it's sad. But what is the sacrifice if I don't continue the fight? And he's not going to win every fight. We can't win any fight. It's too draining. You have, but me as the military man, I know I can't win every fight. I can't. It's impossible. Because even if I did win every fight, I could still lose the war.
Yep.
I could still. You have to be strategic. You
may win the battle, but that doesn't mean you're gonna win the war.
You know who felt that way too? Gore. His second run, he felt that way.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when he was running and the whole recount thing, he felt that way. He said, "I could win, but I'll lose the war," because he knew what happened. He just.
But it's also funny too that when you said that people have to pick up the shield and stuff like that, like Sam even paid it forward to Bucky when he said that you have to do the work. All you were doing was just avenging. You weren't really,
amending.
You weren't really amending. He was like, you really need to go out there and do the work. You need to, choose one person, choose those people in there and be of service to them.
There's only one person in that book.
Well, I mean, no, there's many people in the book. Yeah, but the thing is, the one person that we're all thinking about is the Japanese guy. I know. Yeah. I know. Yeah. But he's right though. Like, you need to be of service, and that's basically what his sister was saying too. You need to do the work. You need to be of service. You need to continue what your friend's legacy, basically what he did.
And Sam is a soldier, so he knows all about service. He knows all about that. So
I mean, the guy is he's a PTSD counselor as well.
Yeah, I'm glad that he had that conversation. Like, that's the one conversation I was waiting for him to have with
Bucky.
And you can see that, his PTSD counseling works so well that he can really connect with a lot of different people. He connect with what's her name?
Kari.
What's her name?
Kari.
In a way where she wasn't ready to fight. She sat down in a calm way. And it's like, they calling you a terrorist. It's like, I'm not a terrorist. I'm actually doing this. He said, but do you see, making her understand. Yeah, making her understand the difference between your actions and what you're doing. And that whole conversation, I would have loved to see more of.
Yeah.
Without asshole jumping in front.
Yeah.
But because he broke through. I don't think there was anybody else that really broke through to her the way Sam did. And I was like, damn, that is missed. And I was like, I would love to have seen more of that. And then even the conversation with Bucky, like him telling him, do the work. I like seeing Sam in that, having those conversations, because those conversations that he gets to is very deep and very meaningful. And he breaks through people because he is a counselor, but the fact that he does, even the fact that Steve picked up where Sam left off at.
Yeah. When Sam was dusted during the 5 years, Steve started being what Sam was. Yeah. Steve at the time, he understood loss and all this other stuff. So now he can cope with other people who've been through that loss too.
Mm-hmm.
He can now understand and come full circle.
He lost not only love of his life, he lost his best friend and his brother. And I would say I'll give Tony his other brother and that too. So because he didn't know where Tony was. So he lost a lot. He lost a lot of people. He lost his team, part of his team. He lost a lot. So
pretty much he lost his family.
Yeah. Yep.
And the guy, and you can see it in Endgame. He was angry. He was angry that he couldn't do anything. And that's why when what's name showed up, when Captain Marvel showed up, and with Tony and all this other stuff, um, and they found what's his name Signal, and he was like, "Let's go get this son of a bitch." Like
He cussed.
he was ready.
No one said language.
No, because it was all like, "He right though." But
Yeah.
And that's Sam's true, like, and that's I like that too, because that's Sam's true superpower.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
he
Chad.
can get through to nearly anyone.
That
And
wall that a lot of us have, Sam breaks through that.
Sam has that understanding.
He don't need a shield to break through it.
Right.
And that's why I like Sam as that's why I like Sam. He breaks through those walls. And it's something that we don't see in television that much or movie that much.
Yeah.
And I think it's very refreshing to see. And I would like to see more of that in every aspect. So
Okay.
that's just how.
One piece of resource that I was watching today. Her name is Nikki Marina. First name is spelled Nicque. I don't know if that's her actual real name or whatnot, but she's a former Air Force officer who has gone through harassment in the military, and she suffers from PTSD from that. And she talked about, did Bucky do the right thing? I watched a video on basically, did Bucky do the right thing on keeping the secret of Elijah to himself from Steve? And I'm not asking that as a question. Just watch it, and it's a really. I'm gonna put the link down in the description. Don't watch it now, Al. Wait.
I just want to get it out. So
It's a very interesting thing that she talked about, and I found it very very inspiring on her with her words, because she put it to stuff that is of real. She kind of like meshed it with things that have happened in her life, like she's been a victim of something. And if you knew someone like Steve could like change something, they would. Because here it is. We all know Steve would do everything to make anything right. And that's why Bucky never told him. Bucky never told him because Bucky knew that Elijah wanted to be left alone. Because Bucky kind of basically went through the same thing. Take the race out of it, he went through the same thing, the same struggle of being locked away, experimented on for decades. So, but yeah, now we got a little 15 minutes here. We're going to talk about Madam Hydra.
Thank God you said that.
Yes, I wasn't going to say the whole name. I already said it in the beginning. But with Madam Hydra, as she's called, or we're just going to call her Val, we do know the name Contessa is actually for something, as she's basically an alleged Italian noblewoman who basically joined SHIELD and eventually ascended temporarily to the rank of deputy director, becoming Nick Fury's love interest. This is in the comic books.
Yes.
She eventually infiltrated Hydra and assumed the identity of Madam Hydra. This guy went to the bathroom. Though she was actually a Russian triple agent, having worked for Leviathan as a sleeper agent since before being recruited by SHIELD. So, with all of that said, what is Valentina's plan for the MCU? What is what is she going? What is she going to do with John Walker? You know, she was actually Dreyfus was actually supposed to originally be introduced in the Black Widow movie, but due to delays because of COVID, they put her in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
So I was thinking of the dude, I can't remember his name. He was the senator.
Ross.
No, not Ross.
Who?
Like in the second Iron Man.
Oh
yeah. What's his name? Larry something. He died though.
Yeah.
Larry Sanders' character?
Yeah.
And
And
but Larry Sanders' character,
he got arrested or something.
Got
he's
arrested.
in jail.
Yeah.
So, and then as you saw in the beginning of you saw in the very first episode of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Bucky got another senator or representative or whoever she was, arrested.
Right.
So it's my opinion that Val it's obvious that she's a government employee. I don't know if she's a senator. I don't know if she's a representative, but obviously she works for the government.
I keep thinking she might be private sector.
We'll see.
Maybe. That's my opinion. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But it was my opinion that maybe she was replacing that senator dude.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the power structure. And yeah, I do think she's going to use Walker. I mean, she knows that he took the super serum.
She knows a lot.
Yeah.
She knows about the history of the shield.
That's the thing that worries me. How did she know? Because he took it when nobody was around. Not even Hopkins knew about it.
Here's the thing, when it comes to stuff like that,
somebody knows something.
Somebody always knows something. You can't hide. You can never really hide anything from anybody. So just because a lot of people may not know or with not paying attention doesn't mean that somebody wasn't paying attention.
Okay, yeah.
I have I'm sorry, keep going if you got something more.
No, that was it.
Okay. I have one speculation. Originally, since she was originally supposed to be in Black Widow, I have a feeling that Black Widow is going to introduce Leviathan, which is basically the Russian version of SHIELD, basically, and Hydra, if you want to say that way too. And I have this feeling that she knows what all the body language and the after of the side effects and everything of the super soldier serum can do to a person, because she probably did something to Red Guardian, who has the super soldier serum in him.
Yep.
Now, that's probably why he's also locked away in Black Widow. I have a feeling. What you say?
I think it's early age of Black Widow.
Yeah. I have a feeling that she's basically going to be the evil version of Nick Fury. She's going to get the help, and I say that very loosely, of Thunderbolt Ross, and assemble the Thunderbolts.
I can see that.
Like, Zemo's going to the raft.
Yeah.
And who oversees the raft?
Ross.
Yeah.
Zemo is part of the Thunderbolts. One iteration of the Thunderbolts. And, some of the Thunderbolts are villains.
Yeah.
So
originally they were villains who were trying to be heroes, but now and then in the comics they went against Zemo and actually became anti-heroes.
Yeah. So
but
where's most of the villains are held up now?
But here's the thing. Who else in the MCU now is going to be a part of the Thunderbolts? Okay, so let's think about this here. We already got John Walker. We already got Zemo. In WandaVision, we got Agatha.
Agatha don't know who she is right now.
She
So.
don't, but we don't know that they might find someone to get her out of that thing. We don't know this. But I'm just saying, this is my opinion.
Okay.
This is just me. And then I've been hearing a lot of people online saying Ghost, but didn't she turn good in Ant-Man and the Wasp?
She wasn't even really.
We
She
can't.
wasn't even really a villain, really.
We can't speculate with Ghost because the last time we seen her was she's getting help from.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, so we don't.
I'm not speculating Ghost. No. I'm not speculating Ghost, but other people are putting her on this list. Now I wouldn't put her on this list.
Until we
now,
see her.
The next person I'd put on this list is Taskmaster.
That's a definite. Well,
no, we don't know, but I have a feeling. I just have this feeling he might.
He is because he copied Zemo's. Well, in a comic.
But think about it. If he does get taken at the, let's just say he does get taken at the end of Black Widow or something like that, gets put into the raft, whatever. What if, while in the raft, just like in the comics, Taskmaster trains John Walker?
Well, all I'm saying
to basically be a way better fighter.
Like I was saying before, like in the comics, Taskmaster copied Zemo's sword skills.
Yeah, he copies everybody's skills.
And Captain America's
shield skill. Yeah.
Hawkeye's moves and everything.
Yeah. He's a copycat.
What Zemo in this iteration of Zemo doesn't fight with a sword.
As far as we know.
But we haven't seen him. We've seen him shoot, but we haven't seen him fight.
And we've seen him dance.
Yeah, we've seen him dance.
Yeah, we did.
but another. Okay, so we got John Walker. We got Zemo.
I would say we have to wait.
Hold on. I'm not done with my list. Let me. I'm putting Agatha on the list for my list.
All right.
Because you never know who Leviathan may have in their back pocket.
Abomination?
Mystical wise.
Well, that's a definite. He's still locked up.
And then let's just say, like I said, Taskmaster and Abomination. Now, Abomination is supposed to show up in She-Hulk. So we know because it's been confirmed he's supposed to show up in She-Hulk, the TV show.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because he is locked away.
He's been locked away.
And who made that Joker? Thunderbolt Ross. But I have a feeling that Val is going to overthrow Ross and flip the script on the team to her to basically to put him in her favor. And she's gonna form them into the villainous group as the Thunderbolts. Because the Thunderbolts are basically the Suicide Squad of Marvel.
Yeah.
But that's just my whole thing with that. Like, I feel that she's basically she's gonna be like the evil Nick Fury. And she is going to work for Leviathan, but she's going to dig her. She already has dug herself into the U.S. Government, or she's going to dig herself into the U.S. government through Ross. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, all right. So I think she's already involved with the U.S. government in this aspect. She's not really like some type of she's going to be. She's already is. She's already stable. I think the whole Thunderbolt Ross is definitely going to be Zemo. Because if he's going to the raft, Ross already oversees the raft. That's, Emil Blonsky, basically Abomination, is there. Emil Blonsky does have. He was injected with the super soldier serum, and he was injected with the Hulk's blood, so it made him Abomination. Right. So we don't know how much they've been siphoning off from him.
Yeah, because he's been locked away.
Yeah, we don't know. I think Ross is going to be. I think her and Ross are going to be in cahoots with starting the Thunderbolts. But I think we have to. I think I want to wait until I see other members, other villains, because I'm not too sure. Because we're not too sure. Only reason why I say we're not too sure because, well, I'm not too sure is because there's certain villains that I'm waiting to see. Batroff is already there, so that's one thing.
But who's working for Sharon Carter?
Yeah, who I think personally that she is a sleeper agent. That's just me.
Possibly, because I think the Mandarin is the power broker. That's just me.
Oh, okay.
That's just me though. But
I think there's some other villains I'm waiting to see before I even make that whole thing. Another person I'm waiting for to see is Songbird.
Yeah,
I know she might be in one of the Hawkeye show.
A lot of people thought that she was gonna be in Falcon and Winter Soldier. They thought that's who we now know as Carrie Morgenthau is.
Yeah,
they thought that she was. I know Echo is supposed to be in
Hawkeye. Yeah,
the Hawkeye thing.
Yeah, but I'm waiting for to see Songbird. If we see Songbird, then I'm like, okay, now we'll she's part of the Thunderbolts.
Yeah. But remember,
when I think of the Thunderbolt, she's the one I think of.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Songbird. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But so we don't. But again, who knows what the MCU is going to do with them. I just hope it's good. But that is the show for tonight. Thank you guys definitely for this great show, great conversation, great in-depth look on Isaiah, Sam, his and the Shield legacy and everything, and the Contessa Valentina Allegra DeFontaine. Make sure you guys tune in later on this week, Friday, the final episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
And then we gotta wait until July to see another Marvel.
June.
Is it June? What's
June 11th.
It's June 11th.
June 11th is when Loki comes out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We just gotta wait 2 months.
Okay.
Not even.
And then after that, we wait until July.
Yeah. And then after the last episode, we will be doing a post show on the entire first season of Falcon and Winter Soldier and what we are to expect of the future after seeing this show, just like we did with WandaVision. So tune into that on next week. But Friday, tune into that final episode. But anyway, until then, guys, I'm Echo Ninja. That's Roundhouse. Catch him on twitch.tv/here Roundhouse84.
Yeah.
Catch my boy over here, the Political Shield. I haven't forgotten. On Friday at 8:00 p.m. on Facebook Live. Have a good night, people, and stay safe. Peace.
Doses.